topic this morning is a very interesting one. Win freedom from rebirth. And in one sense, the soul is one with God, a part of God. In another sense, we could say that the soul is on a voyage, starting from bondage, starting from attachment to the things of this world. Through continuous rounds of birth and death, around the endless wheel of samsara, to finally reach freedom. And along the way, along the soul's journey, Swamiji tells us, Swami Kriyananda tells us, joy must sing in the night to face change unafraid. This is the essence of spiritual development. We need to be centered in ourselves, have a level of inner joy that even if changes occur, the ups and downs of life, the joys and sorrows, successes, failures, that none of these touch us. We can face them unafraid because we know reality is within us, an unshakable joy and calmness. This is our ideal. And this is what meditation and spiritual thinking bring us. Our soul is one with God. We are perfect already. But that soul has become attached to a body. And through that body we have to learn many, many lessons until we learn to embrace our true unity with the divine. We need to go by our own experience, not beliefs, not preconceptions, not what everyone else is thinking. Once a man came to Yogananda Ji and he said that, I'm an atheist. I think that when we die, we die. There's no afterlife. And so, that being the case, it really doesn't matter what I do in this life. And Guruji responded, and he said, well, that may be true, but on the other hand, you don't know for sure that it's true. And there may be an afterlife, and it might be good, just in case, to pay attention to how we behave. But also, if you behave in the right way, it's going to make this life a lot nicer. Whatever we might believe, the laws of life and the laws of happiness still hold. They don't depend on us. Over the 40 years that I knew Swami Kriyananda, occasionally he would invite a group of us over to his house to watch a movie. And I think for him this was a way of having satsang without him having to do all of the talking, but just relax together. And once we saw the Indian movie Lagan from about 20 years back. And it's a rather long movie, but very involving. And the noble villagers were preparing for this cricket match, against the nasty British overlords. And it's like the suspense just grew and grew. And this cricket match was so important, the whole future of the villagers depended on it. And it was just before the match. And it was so suspenseful. Who would win? And at that moment, Swamiji said, well, I think we've watched enough for tonight, don't you think? We can finish it some other evening. And we just put out a groan around the room. It's like we realized how much we were involved in that movie, how much we were attached to a simple movie. And this is a wonderful, our attachment is a wonderful lesson for us, also for all of us. And it's a good description of the process of reincarnation. We are this pure soul. We're made of divine love. And then we get into the little movies of life. And we get so involved in whatever movie we've been given. Will I get a good job? Will I find my soulmate? And when we don't get what we want, we have desires. And those unfulfilled desires bring us back lifetime after lifetime, isn't it? And Yogananda Ji gave us the way out. He said, if you just do all the same things that you're doing now, but do them remembering God, do them feeling that you're serving God, then you won't be attached to them. You can eat that jalebi thinking, I love this jalebi, I want more. Or you can eat that very same jalebi and share it with God, share your enjoyment. And then if you get given more or not, you're not attached. The enjoyment is the same. Yogananda Ji once taught a lesson on attachment to sleep. And this was with his disciples, Dr. and Mrs. Lewis. And they were visiting, the three of them were visiting San Francisco for something. And they were staying in hotel rooms that were adjoining. And Master Yogananda, he left the door open when they went to bed. And so that their beds were quite close together. And the Lewises were very tired. They were just drifting off to sleep. And then they heard Master's voice from the other room. And the word subgum. Just that one word, then there was silence. And subgum was one of the dishes that they had that night at a Chinese restaurant. And then after a few minutes, they heard subgum duff. And at this point, Mrs. Lewis was sort of desperately trying to sleep and turned against the wall and put the cover up. And after a few minutes, they heard super subgum duff. And then after a few minutes, the great discovery and this sort of awe in Master's voice. And he said, super submarine subgum duff. And at that point, the Lewises just burst out laughing and got up and just never felt the need to sleep again that night. And the three of them talked and meditated and spent the whole night like that, without that attachment to sleep. And so to learn our lesson as the Lewises did, the key is to rise above whatever it is that's happening to us. Rise above Master trying to keep us awake. and rise above our desire for sleep. And so it's not that, the attitude to have is not that I want to quit, I want out of the game is too hard, I don't like it. But how can I win the game? And this is the hand that I've been dealt in life. How can I do my very best to have success with this hand that I was dealt? And once we win the game, then we don't need to play it anymore. Guruji tells us to get off the wheel of reincarnation. You have to desire freedom intensely. Then only will God release you. Your longing has to be fervent. If it is, if you are determined no more to want to play, the Lord has to release you. He tries to keep you here with tests, but in his higher aspect, as the cosmic lover, he hates this show, and he wants you out of it. Why shouldn't he release you once he sees that you really want him alone and not his show, that you want only freedom?
So the life within us, that consciousness within us, that is divine and that is also eternal, which is proven by the fact that God is called Sat Chit Anand by the ancient sages, right? Ever conscious, ever eternal. So it's eternal. Life does not really die, but then death is such a reality for us. How does that happen? We've all read the Gita, the battle of Kurukshetra. What happens to Arjun at that time? Suddenly he is all prepared, he's preparing all his life for this battle. Just the moment before the battle, he sees his family and friends there and he's like, what am I even doing here? I'm going to kill these people that I love. And there's a sort of paralysis that happens to him and he's like, I'm not doing this. And what does Krishna come and tell him? He tells him, you think with your bows and arrows you're killing them? They already are dead because of all the choices and the actions that they have done. Their karma has already been foretold. They already are dead. You are just the visible instrument to all of this. And then he says, also if you look from the point of wisdom, these are all immortal souls. They cannot die with your arrow. And then he famously says, sword cannot cut the Atma, right? Fire cannot burn it. Water cannot wet it. So you think with your mere arrows, you can make any change here to these immortal souls? In fact, when you read about these great yogis and Master's teachings also, he teaches us how to die consciously. So great yogis, they don't die like us. For them, it's actually like changing clothes. They never lose consciousness. From one body to the other, they are fully conscious. There was this story Yoganandaji tells about an old sadhu. You know, there is this man who has died. He's on the funeral pyre and all his family is crying around him and all of that is happening. And suddenly they see this old sadhu just running up to the pyre and he suddenly falls dead. And this young man who's on the pyre wakes up, looks around and runs back into the jungle. And can you imagine? One of your relatives, family, friends are lying on the pyre. And they just wake up and they run into the jungle, never to be seen again. But that's exactly how it is for them. They are conscious all the time. They never lose their consciousness. So what really is death? There was a sage, Haridas, a very famous sage. Master told us a story about him. And he could separate his consciousness and his energy at will. So he was buried, like just like that, for as an experiment, I'm guessing. And then he was just laid buried, and people kept a watch over him. Those were the British times. After some months, some European doctors were called. He was dug out. They examined him and they said, he's dead, obviously. And after a few minutes, Haridas is like waking up. Oh, yeah, how long has it been? So he had full control over his body and mind, that he could show us. He had practiced so much with that control that he could show that the life principle is eternal. So then, the soul doesn't die. Only when we are identified with the body, right? Then death can touch us. Then why do we keep coming back to the same game, to the same, this wheel of sansar, as Keshava ji said? Why are we coming again and again? Because we have desires, right? And Yogananda ji said that you have a body, you identify with the body rather than with the soul that you are, that eternal, changeless soul. You need to upkeep the body and mind, right? You need to give it pleasure. You need to have fun with the body. You need to keep it properly. So you have desires. And he said, I'm paraphrasing, I think, he said, desires forever fed, never fulfilled, right? You can keep going on. Like one of those games we had as kids. You put one down and the other pops up. You put one down and the other pops up. So have you ever truly seen a desire fulfilled? Yes, I've eaten an ice cream. Immediately I feel, oh, where can I go next time to have this ice cream? Or, oh, now it's done. Few minutes, maybe I enjoy it. And what's the next thing to eat? So, where is desire getting fulfilled? And if it doesn't get fulfilled, even worse. We are in this quagmire of despair and depression. That, and we are always like, isko karna hai. There's always this longing, we have to do this, we have to do this. We are always striving towards this desire. So, and we think desire gives us happiness. It's just an illusion of happiness that happens. And what is enough? Do we even know what is enough? Do you see the richest people say, oh, ab ho gaya, theek hai, 10 crore aa gaya, I'm done. It goes on. We have marriages, right? We have marriage. Abhi to mere bachcho ki shaadiyan hain. Then all of that. Itna hoga, then I'll be secure. Then that comes. Then that comes. Then that comes. Never ends, right? So again, Yogananda ji met this man who was really rich. And he was kind of probably boasting, I have this, I have that, and I'm very, very rich, and I'm this and that. After all that tirade is over, Yogananda ji is like, but are you very, very happy? And this man gets taken aback, sends him, a moment backward, and he's like, after a few moments, he says, yes, I am not happy. And then Yogananda ji says, yes, then follow me. And he does. He becomes his disciple. Some time back, I was talking to a friend who's also on the spiritual path, and while the conversation was going on, we spoke about how Yogananda ji said, we should strive to be Jivan Muktas in this lifetime. And this guy is like, oh no, that's not for me. I'm like, really? I mean, we talk like that. I know some of us may not be like that, but we like to talk like that. So I'm like, really? So he's, yeah. I've had such a terrible childhood with my parents. So much responsibility as I grew up. So much I had to earn. I never enjoyed my money. I never enjoyed my family life. Next life, I'm not going to get enlightened till I have a really beautiful life. And I have a beautiful, loving person who will really, really love me. And I will have all the money to have luxuries and enjoy this world. Then I will get enlightened. Well, that reminds me of this folk story, uh, about 1,000 coins in a bag. There's this real poor farmer, but he's very, very happy with his simple life. He just earns from his fields, and whatever he earns, he provides for his family, and that's done. He is content with his life. Suddenly, his plow one day hits a pot. He opens that pot, and there are many, many gold coins, right? Very excited. Now I can provide for my family. Our days of poverty are over and all of that. Excitedly, he runs to his house. He's never seen a gold coin before. And he's just enjoying it. And he starts to count. And then he counts that there are 999 gold coins in that. And suddenly he's like, what happened to that last gold coin, which will make it 1,000? So he's like, let me put this away right now, and I will earn that one gold coin, and then I'll have 1,000 gold coins. And that's what he does. He doesn't tell his wife, because he knows that, like any practical person, she's going to say, what nonsense are you talking? Get some food, get some clothes, make a better house. This is like a lot of gold coins we are talking about. But he hides that. And now the opposite happens. He really scrimps and he scrounges and he becomes miserly. Whatever he was providing to the family also comes down, because he's trying to save money so that he can get that last one gold coin. And he works hard, he's stressed, he's unhappy, he's miserable, all of that. Finally, but he's rewarded after a few months, maybe a year or so, however long it took him. He gets that one gold coin. Excited, runs to the house, and there takes out his gold coins. 999. He's like, did I miscount earlier? Did I need 2 coins? All of that. He says, never mind, I need to go back again. And this goes on and on and on. And as you guessed from the moral of the story, that pot was a direct gift from Satan. So that never gets the 1,000th coin. And what does he do? We may laugh at the poor farmer, but isn't this exactly what we do? We postpone 999 other beautiful things that we have, and the happiness that we get from those 999 things, waiting for that one BMW, one beautiful mansion, the promotion in the job that somebody else got. All of that, we keep waiting, that one gold coin aa jayega, then I'll be happy. But can we really end with that? That coin never comes to us. We have so many of these desires that we have to take birth again and again on earth to fulfill these. No other plane can we fulfill these desires of money and fame, right? Of all of these objects that we want. So paradoxically, in fact, our rebirth, till we can end it, actually helps us. Because the masters say we take several lifetimes to realize that we are like these little hamsters, or is it guinea pigs, that turn on that wheel constantly. It never hits them that what am I doing? It never ends. I will never reach a goal. It takes us several million lifetimes to evolve from stone to probably an animal, is what the masters say. Because that time we have no self-awareness. We have no self-will. So automatically, but it takes millions of lifetimes. We have been stones and plants and animals. Then we get this precious human life. Then that also countless of hundreds of lifetimes, Master said, we are like this hamster. If you put a child in class 5, what do you expect? Next year he'll graduate. But no, we don't want to do that. We stay in class 5, class 8, choose your favorite class for several lifetimes. And we don't get tired. It takes us many lifetimes to get tired. Then we start to, somehow the coin drops. And we're like, okay, maybe I'm missing something here. And then we start to realize that our true home stays with God, and the only desire worth it is the desire for God. And then over these several rebirths, fortunately, we have these masters who come to us birth after birth. If you've read God's Boatman, Master's written this very beautiful poem. He says, I will come many times, several times, till even one stray brother gets left behind. And these masters are free. They don't need to come. They are free from rebirth. Consciously, they come back to help us win our freedom from these desires, right? And win freedom from rebirth. Thank you.